This emblem is known as the Maltese cross, and it can be seen everywhere on the island. It was first adopted in 1126 by the Knights Hospitallers of St. John. It was introduced to Malta in 1530 by the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem when they took possession of the island. The 8 points of the cross represented the 8 obligations or aspirations of the knights. Later, the 8 points also represented the 8 languages of the noblemen admitted to the order, including the English. This is St.Pauls Bay, a part of Butcherby, a comparatively quiet resort at the north of the island. There is no hectic nightlife here, but it does offer a very splendid promenade which stretches for many kilometres. It has a marina accommodating small local boats. It has a well-protected small harbour with room for the few remaining fishing boats. This jetty is a popular venue for locals and visitors alike to indulge in fishing, but its main claim to fame is the part it played in the St. Paul story. The island of St. Paul is quite close to the mainland, and it's where, in 60 AD, St. Paul and the never-mentioned St. Luke were shipwrecked. A large statue of the saint can be seen from here, and this boat makes frequent trips to the island if you want to have a closer look at the statue. This church is locally known as the Church of the Shipwreck. It is built on the land where St. Paul and the other 300 survivors were made welcome to Malta. The story is told in many languages on tablets mounted on the exterior walls of the building. The story goes that while sitting with the locals around a fire, the saint was bitten by a snake, whereupon he threw the reptile into the fire, and as he suffered no ill effect from the bite, he was looked upon as a special man. Here at Rabat is where the story ends. This church is built over a cave, where Paul is said to have lived during his stay in Malta. There is no proof of this, but it is believed that he preached and cured the sick here. Among those he cured was the father of Publius, the Roman governor. Publius himself became a Christian and eventually became the first Archbishop of Malta. There are many artifacts regarding the story, and the guides are constantly relating the facts and the fiction to the faithful as well as the interested visitors. If these departing visitors are travelling by the public bus service, they may be in for a long wait at the bus stop. The bus service in Malta is chaotic at the moment. For many years the island had enjoyed a very efficient driver-owned service by these orange and yellow buses. When joining the European Union, Strasbourg claimed that these buses were not up to standard and had to be scrapped. The British company Arriva won the contract to operate a bus service in Malta. They immediately imported 700 British bus drivers, who of course knew nothing about the road system in the island, and many got lost while on their route. Worse still, Arriva imported bendy buses, which had been thrown out of London. These long buses could not get round the tight corners in some of the very narrow streets. Result, bus times erratic, and sometimes not at all. No doubt it will all be sorted in time. The best method of getting around is by the local tour buses. Even so, one night of rain can ruin a day out. These trippers paid €50 for a day out, and all their stops were cancelled. The prehistoric temples and the horse race track were flooded. The brig market at Marsislock was cancelled. At least they could see the dwindling fleet of brightly painted small fishing boats. All in all, a very expensive bus ride. Another bus tour will take you to the Valletta glass factory, although it's not in Valletta. You can watch the glass blowers at work, but nobody tells you what they are making. A visit to the large showroom enables you to see and buy a unique collection of glassware that has been made by these talented artisans. There are over 400 churches in Malta, mostly Roman Catholic. This should be no surprise, as Malta is actually owned by the Church of Rome, as it was bought by a long-forgotten pope. This church is the Mosta Rotunda, and its dome is the third largest in Europe, being 40 metres in diameter. Some claim it to be the location of a modern miracle. It was built from 1830 to 1860 and was constructed over and around an existing church. When completed, the old inner building was demolished. In 1942, during the Second World War, the church was hit by a German bomb, which failed to explode. The bomb went through the dome. A photograph of the event shows the hole it made. A replica of the bomb is also on show, and this photograph shows the bomb and the personnel who defused it. Although 300 people were attending Mass when the bomb struck, nobody was injured. There's a lot of dilapidated houses in Malta, and it's not due to bombing. Blame for some of the neglect can be placed at the door of the Parliament, which passed a unique and strange property law. When a person buys a house in Malta, the wife or husband and their children, present and future, automatically become legal partners in the property. That also includes grandchildren. When the head of the family dies, many partners can't agree about the future arrangements, so they fall out, and some then refuse their share of the upkeep costs. This results in neglect and dilapidation of the house. No visit to Malta would be complete without time spent in Valletta, the capital city. The bus station is only a few metres from the bustling main street. It is here that, whilst making the film Gladiator, the British actor Oliver Reed died on the 2nd of May 1999. An excellent view of the famous Grand Harbour can be had from the high and equally famous Baraka Gardens. Amongst the sculptures and monuments is a bust of Winston Churchill. From the terrace above the gun battery, practically all the harbour can be seen. Incidentally, the gun is fired at 12 noon every day. During World War II, the harbour was full of British warships. Since the British closed the dockyard, only cruise ships used the moorings. The main shopping streets are very busy with tourists of all nationalities, and some British shops still survive. This exhibition of sculpture is extremely modern and is not to everybody's taste. As everywhere else in the world, street musicians perform, but at least here you can hear classical instrumentals as well as the modern guitars. This is the Governor's Palace and the Parliament buildings. Originally it was the Grand Master's Palace, the Grand Master being the head of the Knights Templars who ruled for over 200 years. On the wall it displayed the wording of a letter from the British King George VI awarding Malta the George Cross. It could be said that the Maltese people would rather have had the dockyard remained open. Anyway, it's time to say goodbye to Malta and leave it in the safe hands of these marching centuries.